Gurubhyo Namaha. Namaste. Ajam nirvikalpam nirakaramekam niranandamanandamadvaitapurnam param nirgunam nirvishesham niriham parabrahmarupam ganesham bhajema. Team Param Vedanta welcomes you all to the 23rd session of Bhagavad Gita verse by verse. Many times, the dilemma of what is right or not comes to all of us. Often, the right course of action is not obvious to us. Ideas of our times, voices of conscience, and constraints of tradition confuse us. Now, what's the way out? In an answer, Bhagavan has packed the entire core truth of karma into some of the greatest stanzas in this 4th chapter, which is valid for all times and for all of us. We shall learn those verses today. Dr. Hegde explained the meaning of the chapter name in the last class. Jnanena karma sannyasah, jnana karma sannyasah, which means renunciation of action through knowledge without physically stopping the action, continuing to do everything as before, but without attachment, with the willingness to give it up or not possess it, still doing all the work that has to be done with all joy. Giving up can be in two ways. The first is the regular sannyasa that we see, the renunciation. But the other one is the more difficult one, internal renunciation. Padma patra mivambhasa, being like the quintessential lotus leaf that we talk about. And that is what Krishna means by jnana karma sannyasa, to be yet not to be. We have in this class Dr. Hegde, Dr. Netra, Dr. Vivek, Dr. Jagadish, Srimati Mamata, and Sri Bhaskar, who will explain these set of beautiful verses which make the core of Bhagavad Gita. Srimati Meenakshi will chant the verses from 14 to 20. Please do join her. Friends, those who wish to contribute to the Guru Dakshina may please do so. The details will be displayed later. The pandemic has restricted the movement of many sadhus and our teachers, and hence it's important for us to do our bit. Dr. Sanjay Mehrotra will do the recap of the last class. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. I'm going to present a short recap of the previous class verses, which was the session 22nd, from verse 17 to 13. This is one of the most important verses, and I think most of Indians probably will know this verse. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharatah abhyutthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srajamyaham. Yada yada hi dharmasya. Whenever the dharma declines, the value decline, adharmasya abhyutthanam. Whenever adharma increases, tadatmanam srajamyaham, I take birth. Why does this have to happen? This creation, this cosmos, both gross and subtle, is it intelligent and is God only. This intelligence is represented everywhere, including our bodies, which tend to heal itself from afflictions. Similarly, the maintenance of dharma is the nature of creation, which bring an avatara to set it right. And this is why Krishna said, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavata bharata. Next slide, please. As I said, because this universe is a cosmic system, and whenever there is a disturbance, the cosmos itself will find an appropriate method of defending it. Dharma is an integral part of this universe or cosmos and is embedded in it. An avatara is like a method to maintain this cosmic immunity. An adharma would bring an avatara, and this is the essence of this verse. Next slide, please. The verse 8, This verse continues to tell the purpose of an avatara, which is to protect the dharma and destroy the adharma. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Krishna is establishing dharma by teaching and preaching both Brahmanas and Kshatriyas their duty, where he is telling Arjuna to fight and also teaching him why to fight. The paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha duskritam dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. The protection of dharma and adharma can only be done by protecting the people who follow the Vedic dharma. Sadhunam paritranaya. I take avatara to support the dharmic people, to destroy adharma which is being done by Duryodhana. Krishna is advising Arjuna to fight and kill even the close relative. Tasmat yuddhasya bharata. Krishna also says that an avatara descends in every yuga if required. Next slide, please. Here, an important practical guidance is provided by Krishna to obtain moksha. Janma karma chame divyam evam yah vetti tattvataha tyaktva deham punah janmana eti mam eti sa Arjuna. Knowing the nature of God also leads to liberation. First teaching was to know the nature of Atma and who is a Sthit Prajna. Now Krishna is telling by knowing the nature or realizing the nature of God, which leads to liberation. Practically both are saying, O Arjuna, evam tattataha vetti, who thus really knows me, me divyam, my divine nature, janma birth cha karma, an action na eti, does not take punarjanma. Tyaktva deham, after giving up the body, etimam, he attains me. Next slide, please. So what is the real nature of Krishna? The real nature of wave or the ocean is made up of nothing but water. Once you know the real nature of Krishna, which is not Krishna Sariram, but the Akhila Dehinam Antaratma Druk, this is the real Tattva. Yo vetti Tattvaha Punarjanma na eti. Next slide, please. The verse 10 is telling you that initially all of us have to do a Savikara Upasana, which ultimately changes to Nirvikara state. Savikara Upasana is easy, and the great Jnanis and liberated souls have all done that. Vitarag Bhaya Krodha Manmaya Mam Upashrita Bahava Jnana Tapsaha Puta Madbhavam Agata. Having resorted to me, freed from attachment, fear, and anger, absorbed in me and purified by Jnana Yoga, many have attained my nature. Ultimately, the Nirvikara to be realized, Aikyam with the Tattva Rupa of Krishna is important, which is to go from Rupa to Arupa. Next slide, please. In verse 11, Krishna says that not everyone need to seek the moksha. And if you seek kama, which is worldly desire, he is ready to help there also. Ye yatha mam prapadyante, but the desire should be legitimate and the means of accomplishment also legitimate. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tan tatha eva bhajamyaham mam vartam anurvatante manushya partha sarvasha. Most humans chase desires without knowing what is the reason of the desire. And even when the desire is fulfilled, the happiness is short-lasting. Shastras say that the kama should not bound you. You should not get lost into the kama. Next slide, please. A desire which is legitimate has to be fulfilled before one seeks moksha. Krishna says, for such desire, he is like a parijata tree. Prapanna parijayate. I am like a parijata tree for a devotee. Tasmataiva bhajamyaham. Which means to approach me with this aim, Krishna will fulfill that desire also. Therefore, I bless them with whatever they approach with. but it should be an appropriate method. Manushaya parthaha sarvashaha. Next slide, please. In verse 12, as we know that the Vedic scriptures talk about two paths. One is, of course, the Karma Marga, which gives us Anitya Phalam, and Jnana Marga, which gives us Nitya Phalam. Kanchanaha karmanam siddhim yajante ihi devataha Shipram hi manushe loke siddhi bhavati karmaja. Karmaja siddhi shipram bhavati. The karma phalam is quicker as compared to the jnana marga in manushya loka. On the other hand, the jnana phalam is quicker, result is good, but the most important problem is the preparation, which is the toughest. As we all know, all actions done for the purpose of kama, which may be even to seek human goals, which are purusharthas, or human purushartha, would not give purnatvam. And they all have atriptikaratvam and dukramishritatvam and bandhatvam, defects of karma phalam. A karta is always a bhokta, and that is where the importance of karma yoga comes. Right action with right attitude, with Ishwar prasad bhava and Ishwar arpana bhava is the way we should do the karma also. The last verse says, Chaturvanyam maya shrishtam guru karma vibhagashah tasya kartaram apimam viddhi akartaram avyayam. The fourfold divisions of society has been created by me based upon gunas and karma. Know me to be its author. Also know me to be a non-doer, changeless. As we know, varnas were created as per the gunas and karmas. They give a certain nature to an individual like the Brahmana, the Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. Krishna says that he created these division of labor and action. Tasya kartaram api manam mam viddhi. I'm involved. I'm the doer of the activities. But as an avatar, at the same time, viddhi akartaram, I am detached from all the karmas. In the following verses, next slide, Krishna says, actions do not affect me. I have no craving with regard to result of the action. Thus, he who clearly knows me is not bound by actions. And in the coming verses today, you will know and understand this meaning. Thank you very much. Hari Om.
Thank you, Dr. Sanjay, for a complete recap of what we studied in the last class, which will be the foundation for the verses that we are going to study today. Om Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Pariyantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om. We come to the climax of the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita titled Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga, which is how we can do karma without being really attached to it. And this is possible only through a renunciation of a sense of doership. There is no ego, there is no sense of I am doing it. The real sannyasa here is renunciation of one's ego. And once I have a sense of detachment of who is doing it, I am a facilitator. I allow karma. I am in the thick of all the actions, but without being affected by it. To understand the climax of Jnana Karma Sannyasa is to understand the essence of Vedanta. Vedanta says that we are not this ordinary body-mind complex, but ordinary body-mind complex which is blessed by the Atma. And through a process of Shravanam, Mandanam, Nididhyasanam, after a person is primed, our job is to identify the higher self in me and claim that higher self as myself. The lower aspect of me, which I always considered myself to be the ego or the ahankara, is finite. And because it is finite, it is always into action. It is a karta. And whenever you are a karta, you experience the outcome of your action. But now I know there is the higher aspect in me, which is so big. And when it is so big, it cannot do anything. It is infinite. And this is the Atma Tattva. This is the conscious principle because of which I'm able to experience the whole world. This is the enlivening principle in me. And all our spiritual sadhanas is help us to identify and claim this entity as Aham Brahma Asmi. Swamiji teaches us two fundamental laws of Vedanta, which I need to remind ourselves again and again. The first is through a process called Drik Drishya Viveka, where I say that whatever I see and experience is an object of my experience. It is a Drishyam. I see myself as the observer or the Drik, and the Drik cannot be the Drishyam. I am someone other than whatever I see and experience. And second, and a very fundamental principle is that my true nature is nirguna. That means I have no attributes whatsoever. All attributes that I know belong to the object of my experience. And once I realize that, it confirms my limitless status. Let us see how a jnani perceives karma. These are the opening words of Upadeshasara by Bhagwan Ramana, where he says, quite shockingly, but this was the context of the Upadeshasara, where he says, karma is jada. Don't give too much importance for karma. He says, kartru rajaya praptaye phalam. Whatever action I do, the benefit is decided by the karma paladata. And he emphasizes, karma kim param. Karma is not something great. Why? Karma tad jadam. Karma by itself is inert. And then in the next verse, he gives us a certain dangers of karma. And that is why what we are studying, Jnana Karma Sannyasa, is so important. The dangers of karma is the more karma I do, the more I get caught into the vicious cycle of punya and papa. Each action that I do will generate more punya, more papa, and that puts me into a repetitive cycle of more births. More births is okay, but each with birth comes with deaths also. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam cycle. The warning Bhagwan gives is kriti mahodadav. The more expert that you are in your activity, the greater is your work that is going to grow like an ocean. It will grow exponentially. Patana karanam, your karma can be the cause of your fall, a spiritual downfall. Palamasvashvatam, whatever you get from this is finite. Gati nirodakam, it can block your spiritual progress. What is the answer? The answer is Karma Yoga, and that is what we are sequentially studying. And in one very cryptic, simple verse, Bhagwan summarizes, Ishwararpitam na ichaya kritam chitta shodakam mukti sadakam. Karma can pave the way to mukti by purifying your intellect. How do you do it? By Ishwararpana Bhava and through Prasada Bhava. Real skill in action. If you have understood real Karma Yoga, is what we are going to study in the topic today, is to bring in action and action. I'm doing a process of trying to share my understanding. But the more I feel I am doing it, my ego comes in. Ego always wants to prove. And whenever there is a struggle, it is a trying to prove something to somebody. But then if you understand the real skill in action is to be a facilitator, to allow action to happen through you. Try to remove the ego as much as possible. And this comes from the beautiful verse in the second chapter, the 50th verse, which says, Buddhi yukto jahatiha. I can give up my sense of doership only when I log in to Buddhi yukta. Buddhi yukta means through Jnana Yoga. Then what happens? Ube sukrute dushkrute. I automatically give up my punya or papa because there is no one who's doing it. Only if I'm doing it, I get the punya or papa. Tasmat yogaya yujjasva yogaha karmasu kaushalam. The real skill, this is real skill in action, and we will see that in the class today. This is also brought out that how you can convert a toxin or venom into a nectar by understanding Karma Yoga. This is real skill in action. The opening verse for us today will be explained by Dr. Netra. Over to you, Dr. Netra.
Namaste, Hari Om, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Arjuna was trying to escape to sannyasa with the thought that karma binds a person and will not be able to pursue jnanam. Therefore, Krishna tries to convince Arjuna not to escape from karma, as Arjuna's guna will not allow this. Arjuna was a Kshatriya by birth, Kshatriya by character. And if he goes to forest to take up sannyasa, then his guna will make him to form an organization there. Krishna wants to convey that he, as a Paramatma, is also very active, being a Srushtikarta, Sthitikarta, Layakarta. He is active all the time. But the beauty is what? Even though he is full of karma or activity, the activities do not bind him. He is detached from all those karmas, avyayam, asangaha, unaffected. So let's go on to the verse. Namam karmani limpanti. Actions do not affect me. Name karma phale spruha. I have no craving with regard to the result of the action. Iti. Thus, mam yo bijanati. He who clearly knows me, karma birnasa badhyate, is not bound by actions. So coming to the next slide, in this verse, Krishna reveals a fact about himself as Bhagavan and extends it to the individual level. Even though Bhagavan has created the world and everything in this universe, he performs various actions to keep it going. All these actions, whatever be their nature, do not affect him. Hence he says, Nama karmani limpanti. The actions do not bind me, meaning that they do not create sukha, dukha. They do not create punya, papa for him as they do for a jiva. Why do his actions not affect him? Because the notion, I am the doer, is not there for him. Karma gives tension, karma phalam gives regrets, disappointments. And the Lord never does any injustice to anyone. As it is said, I always get what I deserve, never what I desire. The Lord is always just, and whatever has to happen according to karma will happen. So Krishna says, Name karma phale spruha. I'm not concerned even about the outcome of the actions. And why Krishna has escaped from this problem? What is the special medicine he has taken? Let us see the next slide. This was mentioned to us in the last class about how to cut a jackfruit. So when I smear the knife with the oil of Jnanam as a karta, I will be able to do the karma without getting bound. So before going in the rain, have an umbrella, raincoat. You do not stop going in the rain, but you do not get wet. Similarly, here also, what is the raincoat? Jnanam raincoat. So Krishna has the knowledge, he has the power, defense. Knowledge is the best remedy for all the problems. That is why Lord Vishnu also holds Sudarshana Chakram. Darshanam means Jnanam, Sudarshanam means right knowledge. So with the Chakram of Sudarshanam, Krishna destroys the ignorance, Ajnanam of samsara. Therefore, Krishna says here, Mam ya iti abhijanati. So the one who knows the secret of mind, what is the secret? The freedom in spite of activity. Not freedom from activity, not freedom from responsibility, but the freedom in spite of responsibility. So whoever discovers this secret known as self-knowledge, such a jnani is also not bound by karma, just as Bhagavan is not bound by his karma. So in conclusion, this particular verse, according to Swami Dayananda Saraswati, is said to be a Mahavakya because Jiva and Ishvara are equated. The first line describes the quality of Paramatma, and the second line discusses the Jivatma. So when the Jivatma realizes the oneness, Jivatma, Paramatma, Aikyam, it is just this shift. This understanding is liberation or moksha. So in the next verse, Krishna discusses how to gain this knowledge. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Netra, for a nice explanation of the verse with beautiful illustrations, especially the example of how you can cut a jackfruit when the knife is soaked in oil so that it does not it does not become sticky. And in the equivalent for us in our work is to anchor on to jnanam. And if there is this jnanam, then it is not going to bind us. So let us look at what is that force behind all our actions, both as a jnani and as an ajnani. As an ajnani, what is that forces me to do all actions? There is a nice Vedantic phrase called avidya kama karma. Avidya means I'm not aware of my true nature. I feel that if I do this particular activity, that means there is a desire arises, that is karma. And the karma forces me to do a particular karma. And all my life is chasing after happiness. I am therefore, happiness is always a distant dream. Krishna in this verse tries to tell us, and Swami Anubhavananda's working phrase is to be happy. If I am not happy now, I'm not going to be happy at any time, because this attitude of chasing after happiness will always be there. That is why there is a nice poem which says the time to be happy is now, the place to be happy is here, and the way to be happy is to just be happy. And if you have Brahma Vidya, to be able to anchor onto your higher nature every moment. Even as I am in the thick of activity, take a little pause mentally, log on to your higher nature which does not do anything, and experience a sense of Purnatvam while you are in the midst of an action. This is what Krishna says, how he is not bound by any action. Normally, when things go wrong, we blame God for it. But it is very clear, whatever happens is a product of our karma. The Lord is a karma paladata, and we cannot blame the Lord for anything bad that happens around us. The next verse and a related verse will be explained by Dr. Jagdish. Over to you, sir.
Gurubhyo Namaha. The fourth chapter is titled Gnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga, which is yoga of knowledge, gnana, and discipline of action, karma. That is, the journey is from karma yoga to gnana karma sannyasa yoga. Now, man enjoys the nectar when karma yoga is dedicated with knowledge acquired by a spiritual master. And Krishna reverts to karma yoga to explain about that action, inaction, and the forbidden action. Now, in the previous shloka, Dr. Netra told us how Krishna has clearly said that one is not tainted and never bound by the karmic reactions. Now, in this shloka, the 15th one, Krishna says, ancient sages knew this, and we should follow the same footsteps. Now, coming to the shloka as such, evam gnatva kritam karma purvairapi mumukshuhi kuru kurmaiva tasmatvam purvai purvataram kritam. Next slide, sir. The meaning would go like this. The red one is the Sanskrit script. The green is the English meaning. Gnatva evam, having known, thus, karma kritam, action has been performed. Purvai mumukshivi api, by ancient seekers of liberation also. Therefore, tvam kuru karma eva, you just perform the action only. And the last line, kritam purvataram purvehi, exactly as done formerly by the ancients. Just follow their advice, simple. The Gnanis, even after liberation, yet performed action. Now, that looks a little like oxymoron. The actionlessness is not literal, but a Vedantic perspective for the Gnani. But how to go about it for the common man? Simple. Abandon the ego and desire, as has been emphasized often, but do not give up the karma. Now, in the previous shloka, Krishna has assured the Gnani they will never be bound by the welfare work as long as it is done in the spirit of devotion. They wish to serve God and so are inspired to do work for the Almighty's pleasure. Next slide, sir. This could be seen as Manava Dharma is Madhava Dharma. In fact, Buddha said, after attaining enlightenment, you have two options. One is do nothing or help others in the path. Working in devotion attracts the grace of God. And Krishna continues, Arjuna, there is nothing new in this approach. Purvai evam gnatva. Our forefathers used this knowledge. And what did they do? They were grihastas and ruled the kingdom. But karma kritam, they did their work, fought gory wars, just like true kshatriyas. But back home, they were cool as cucumber, as Swami Param puts it. Therefore, tasma, let's come to this slide, there is no escapist sannyasa. Then what and when and where is sannyasa? Take sannyas only when problems are not there, when you are in total prosperity and wealth, at the peak of your achievements, but not in the battlefield by throwing the Gandiva down in front of the enemy. That's not allowed. The last line, Purvai Purvatram Kritam, the same Kshatriya Dharma which your forefathers did, you also follow. Thus, having asked Arjuna to perform actions that do not bind, the next sloka moves to philosophy of action, which is to clarify the perfection and inaction and inaction. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, for a nice explanation of this particular verse where Lord Krishna is very encouraging to Arjuna and to all of us by saying, you will not be the first person in this because your predecessors have succeeded in getting this knowledge and attaining to moksha by continuing to remain as a grihastha and being continued to do their duty. So follow your duty, remain a grihastha, and that is the message for all of us. The next two verses will be explained to us by Bhaskar. Over to you, Bhaskar.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. The verse goes like this. Kim karma, kima karmati, kavayopyatra mohitaha, tata karma, ravishyami, yagnatve, mokshase, shubhat. The gist is, what is action? What is actionless? Actionlessness. In this regard, even scholars and sages are deluded. Therefore, Lord Krishna says, I shall tell you about action, knowing which you will be free from inauspiciousness, that is samsara. Well, this verse has a reference to Kavi, literally a poet. But in the ancient times, Kavi were referred to as rishis or medhavis, meaning intellectually highly accomplished person. Krishna says, even such people are confused and deluded, mohita, about action and actionlessness. Sri Krishna wants to present jnanam or knowledge as the safeguard or armor, since jnanam is the solution for the problems of tension. Fundamental question arises here. Jnanam about what to acquire to protect oneself. Now Sri Krishna projects the subject matter under discussion, that is karma, that is action. So we assume that movement is karma, that is action done, and a karma is action not done. This is at the level of the body, mind, and intellect. We generally assume or take it for granted, like the belief in history that we had a geocentric system, but until Copernicus proved that heliocentric universe, that is the sun at the center and planets revolving around it. Well, another common example in our daily life is sunrise and sunset. So it's but natural for us to discard for the first time when somebody says the truth that sunrise and sunset is just a myth, Vyavahara. Similarly, the nature of action is taken for granted. Even as students of Vedanta, we take several years to study, comprehend with conviction about several contradictions which we had taken it for granted. Lord Krishna says, Karma Swarupa Gnanam Eva Parihara. If you want to get rid of tension caused by your duties and responsibilities in life, you should know exactly what is the nature of karma. Tasmat. Therefore, being a subtle subject, tha karma pravishyami, I shall deal with the topic, nature of karma. And this discussion is not merely academic, but to get a practical value in life. So now what is practical value? Yagnatva mokshasaye. By gaining this knowledge, you will get freedom from ashubhat, all types of pain in your mind caused by anxiety, worry, and jealousy. One and the same karma can give a person joy and another sorrow. For instance, let us take cricket. And let us just visualize the last ball of the match where the scores are even, okay? And the game can finish with the last ball, whether it can be for the joy for the winner and sorrow for the loser. So nobody ever has control over this. Swami Paramatmananda narrates about a thermometer versus a thermostat. Thermometer is which goes up and down depending upon the environment or the surrounding. So apparently, you could say the environment or surrounding determines the condition of the thermometer, whereas thermostat controls the environment. This is likened to a gnani, who is the master of situation, and an agnani who is enslaved by the situation. Hence, by gaining knowledge, you are released from the tyranny of situation. Like a thermostat, you remain unaffected by karma or karma phala. Thus, Sri Krishna is telling Arjuna to fight the war and be free from ashubha, that is samsara. At this juncture, ashubha also means doubts in your head, which gnaw and create problems. They end only when you understand the real nature of karma and akarma. Moving to verse 17, karmano vyati bodhvavam cha vikarmanaha, akarmanascha bodhvavam gahana karmano gaiti. Sri Krishna divides or elaborates karma into two types. Karma, action that is to be done. Vikarana, action that is not to be done, prohibited, do's and don'ts. If you think actionlessness, karma or akarma is not doing action, in that case, we need to know what akarma is. Is it the non-performance of action or the absence of doership and identification? This secret of karma is gahana, means mysterious or confusing, out of which you will have to really come clear or clear the mist by bringing in light. The ensuing verse is profound and will lead you to more clarity. Thanks a lot. Hari Om.
Thank you, Bhaskar, for a nice explanation of these two verses where normally Arjuna asks Sri Krishna a question. Here you have Sri Krishna asking a question. Kim karma, kim akarma. So although Krishna is asking a question, he's not looking for an answer. These are called rhetorical questions. He is trying to give a deeper understanding of this topic, which he is going to explain. He says, I'm going to give you an explanation, pravakshami, on this topic about karma, because once you understand the nature of karma, you will be free, ashubhat, you will be free from samsara. So we come to the next verse, and the next verse goes like this. Karmanya karma ya pashyet, akarmani cha karma yaha, sa buddhiman manushyeshu, sa yuktaha krishna karma krita. This is a key verse, and we need to understand each verse where Krishna says, sa ye pashyati, the one who sees, akarma or actionlessness of whom? The higher self in me. Karmani, also the action of my body-mind complex. That person who's also able to see karma akarmani, the inaction of the body. I will explain. Such a person, he gives the highest of praise. He's a buddhiman. Among all men, such a person is a yogi, and he gives a final description as karma, Krishna karma krita. That means he has attained to all that can be done through karma. This is a stuti vakya. This is a praise. That means such a person has no more karma to be done. Of course, as long as this body is there, as long as your prarabdha karma is there, we have to do karma to take care of your body. But now such a person does not have a bucket list to be fulfilled. There is nothing left to be done because now a person has attained to fulfillment. So he says that person who has understood what is inaction in action and action in inaction is a wise person. Now this verse can be understood by those who understand our true nature, that our true nature is of the nature of Satchid Ananda, or which is infinite. As we said about this, we have prepared ourselves right from the beginning to tell us that we have two aspects about us. One is the body-mind complex, which is the anatma, and the other is the consciousness principle or the atma. The consciousness principle being infinite and so big, it cannot move. Action involves movement, either physical or mental. And because atma is all pervading compared to space, atma cannot move. And when there is no movement, no action is possible. And therefore the real me, which can be experienced through awareness, if you can become aware of the higher self in us who's listening, is a pure witness. It is the Sakshi principle. Even as I am speaking to you, if I am aware of the one who is speaking, I'm logging on to my higher self and I'm allowing my body to speak whatever it is supposed to do. And that is the only way. You have to see, anchor in your higher self and allow this body-mind complex to do whatever it has to do. Shiva in meditation is our higher nature. Shiva as Nataraja is the body-mind complex. This whole world is like the dance of the creator. The whole world around me and my body-mind complex is always in action. It is always restless. Even when a person is asleep, our breathing happens, so many chemical reactions happen. Even a solid wall, if you break it down to its units, to the atom, you will see the protons and the neutrons moving in such high speed. And this is the description of the Nataraja in the universe. So a wise person is able to see in the body-mind complex, even if it is still, even when asleep, there is activity happening. A wise person is able to see, even when I am doing this action, even when you are listening, can we become aware of that Sakshi principle who's not doing anything? And therefore, the whole message is, all of us are so busy with so many activities to do. And there is a feeling that I will be at peace. I will be able to relax. I will be able to find happiness once all these things are over. Remember, the message of this verse is, in the midst of this activity, even as I am speaking, even as you are listening, am I able to find that Purnatvam, that sense of completion in the middle of all action? So the wise person is able to identify the Atma Tattva, even which never does any action. And as you anchor onto the higher self, you allow this body-mind complex to do its prarabdha as per your age, your ashrama, and your activity, whatever you are supposed to do in your life. This understanding is called Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga. The message is, anchor onto the higher self, allow the body-mind complex to do whatever it has to do. Now, observe a person when asleep, especially sometimes if you're in a busy street, you may be walking and you find somebody fast asleep. And if you observe somebody on a busy street, so much is happening, so much noise, but then there is so much of peace when a person is fast asleep. Now, that is the joy that a wise person has. A jnani is able to anchor on that joy that he has during deep sleep, to be in every moment, because now he is no karta, he is not a bhokta, he is experiencing his ananda. He is able to dip into his peaceful state even while awake. And even while doing his activity, he is able to anchor on his higher self and allow his body-mind complex to do whatever it has to be done. And he is a jnani, and such a person is called Krishna Karma Krita. Swami Vidyaranya has given an example of such a process is in the Panchadashi, in one of the chapters called Nataka Deepa Prakarana. In me is the higher self, which is like the lamp which illumines the stage. On the stage, so much activity is happening. Without that lamp, nothing is possible. It blesses all activities. At the same time, it does nothing. Krishna says you should not only be aware of the inaction while doing action. He says a wise person is also aware of action in inaction. I also gave an example that in the wall, which is inert, there is so much of protons, neutrons happening. And in our own body, when fast asleep, it looks like there is no action, but still the body is very active. Swamiji gives in the Bhashyam some more examples which we will understand what is this action in inaction. He gives an example of a Shivaratri day. On Shivaratri, you get up early in the morning, you do a lot of pujas, you go to the temple, you come back. And among all the activities that you're doing the whole day, an important activity is that you are fasting. Now, fasting is also an action. But can you see there is inaction in action? So although there is it is an action, but in that action, there is inaction. All the yamas like ahimsa, asteya, brahmacharya, aparigraha are examples of being actions, although they are inaction. If this is understood, this understanding of inaction and action will continue in the rest of the verses of this chapter and also in the 5th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. A related verse will be explained by Mamata. Over to you, Mamata.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Yasya sarve samarambhaha kama sankalpa varjitaha jnanagni dagdha karmanam tamahu panditam buddhaha. He whose actions are all free from desires and fancies, and whose actions are burnt by the fire of knowledge, sages call him wise. In the next slide, a jnani is one who is established in self-knowledge and has discovered Purnatva. He is ever fulfilled or contented. Misunderstood philosophy is contentment means one will not work at all, and discontentment alone leads to work and accomplishment. In the next slide, in this profound verse, Lord Krishna clarifies these misconceptions. He gives answers to the following questions. 1. If jnanam equals to contentment, will jnani act? 2. Should the jnani act at all? Followed by, what is the motivation for a jnani to perform actions? Finally, does jnani's actions have consequences of karma? In the next slide, self-ignorance leads to desires for the worldly objects. Fulfillment of these desires results in actions followed by karma phalam, which leads us to endless cycle of birth and rebirth. Self-knowledge or jnanam is the only way out to get out of this cycle. Looking at the first question now, if jnanam equals to contentment, will jnani act? Krishna says, samarambhaha. A Gnani is full of actions. However, Gnani's actions is not caused by unfulfillment. He is free from desires for worldly objects, kama varjitaha, and free from future projections also, sankalpa varjitaha. Sankalpa is the concept of wanting something that is good. This sankalpa leads to worldly desires, and Gnani is devoid of all these. He knows that he is infinite consciousness bliss. In the next slide, this brings us to the next question. Should the Gnani act at all? A Gnani acts for Loka Sangraha, doing whatever is required according to the need of the surrounding, with the only desire for the welfare of the world. He acts out of compassion, out of love, and with the sense of giving. Isn't compassion another form of desire? This leads us to the next question. In the next slide, where does the motivation to perform such actions come from? Gnani, who is established in the self-knowledge, has universal identification. He has realized he is Sarva Bhutatma Bhutatma and lives by that knowledge. That is, I am the all-pervading Atma and the Atma is the same in all beings. This brings in universal compassion. Heat and fire are not two separate entities. The essential nature of fire is the heat. Similarly, compassion is Gnani's essential nature. A Gnani works with compassion to the need of the situation, just like the instinctive love of mother towards child. This compassion is the Gnani's motivation to act. In the next slide, do the compassion-driven actions have consequences? Does it generate results and the new karmas? Gnani does not identify with ego. He knows he is a facilitator performing actions through body-mind and not the doer of actions. He has a unique way of performing actions known as yogaha karmasu kaushalam, that is skill in action that does not generate any new papa punya or agami karmas for his actions. It is like the seeds roasted in the fire. Roasted seeds look like any other seeds, but they don't germinate. Similarly, Gnani's ahankara or ego are like roasted seeds burnt by the fire of knowledge. That is Gnanagni Dagdha Karmanam. It looks like karma and the results of karma are there, but they don't germinate into new lives and hence do not continue in the birth-rebirth cycle. Krishna refers to Pandita Ahuhu in the verse, which means the Buddha sages call these Jnanis as the wise people. In the last slide, Sri Krishna re-emphasizes many times in Bhagavad Gita that the wise acts for Loka Sangraha, that is the benefit of humankind. We should try to incorporate these insights in our day-to-day activities to the extent we can. This will help us in the spiritual path. Let me conclude with a quote from a person who is the epitome of service, Mahatma Gandhi. His words sum up this shloka very well, and I quote, "The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others." Thank you, sir. Hari Om.
Thank you, Mamta, for a nice explanation of this verse. You will see how the Bhagavad Gita is bringing us the message of Jnana Karma Sannyasa sequentially. Now, to see once you had spiritual knowledge, what is that which will drive you to work? Until now, it was avidya kama karma. But once a person has spiritual knowledge, then you saw how the nice illustration of mother to child, compassion becomes so natural, and therefore now it is Loka Sangraha. Such a Jnani who has spiritual wisdom is now fully engaged in actions, Samarambha. But then there is no personal agenda. He has nothing to do, he does not have anything to prove. And because there is no doership, there is no agami karma, because jnanam has the ability to burn all the agami karma. It burns the ego. There is nobody who has to do the action. The last verse for today will be explained by Dr. Vikram. Over to you, Dr. Vikram.
Hari Om. Shri Krishna is explaining the philosophy of action. 18th verse is the key verse wherein the principle of action in inaction and inaction in action has been discussed. Although the body-mind complex or ahankara is involved in all action, the wise person knows that Atma is free from karma. When a jnani sees an actionless man, he understands actionlessness of body is not the real inaction. Ahamkara can continue its activity, but it is important to be at peace internally. The internal peace in midst of activity is the wisdom of inaction. In verse 19, we just saw Sri Krishna has defined a wise man or Pandita who as one whose all actions are burned by fire of knowledge. Now in verse 20, Sri Krishna describes two important characters of a Jnani. Let's look at the verse. Tyaktva karma phala sanga nitya trupto nirashraya karmanye api pravruttopi naiva kinchit karoti saha. Next slide. It is generally believed that the spiritual growth is only possible in Nivritti Marga or Sannyasa by leading a life of seclusion or giving up worldly responsibility. In this verse, Lord Krishna says that spiritual progress is possible by remaining in Grihastha and following a Pravritti Marga. So, Sri Krishna says, Karmani abhipravritta. A person can remain as a grihastha performing his duty of Panchamahayajna, remaining steadfast in his swadharma. He fulfills all his duty to best of his ability. Pravritta is an active person. Abhipravritta is a very active person. So Sri Krishna is exhorting us not only to remain active, but very active in performing our duties along the dharmic path. Now question comes, what is the difference between a karmi and a grihastha jnani? So Sri Krishna says jnani should be nitya tripta, that is ever satisfied. Jnani does not seek fulfillment through results of its activity. If a stated goal is achieved, only then happiness will follow is our usual attitude. Happiness cannot depend on the goals as we may or may not achieve it. Also, goals keep shifting. So Sri Krishna is advising happiness is in the process, not alone in the goal. Therefore, for a jnani, all activities are done with a sense of fulfillment. For him, all the activities are service to the Lord. The another character mentioned here is Nirashraya. Jnani is not dependent. Jnani does not seek fulfillment from the external source. He is not dependent on the emotional support or psychological dependence on something outside because he has realized Purnamada Purnamidam. Happiness is an internal phenomenon. Swamiji explains difference between a physical dependence and an emotional dependence. Physical dependence on the world cannot be avoided. For example, food, water, basic necessity, etc. We need to depend physically on the world. But these dependence does not lead to samsara. But the emotional attachment are the problem and source of unhappiness. Next slide. So Sri Krishna says, what is the solution? Karma phala sangam tyaktva. Give up anxiety or concern for results of action. Jnani has given up all the concerns, anxiety, tension, or emotional dependence to result. Planning, working hard, keeping a goal is okay, but dependence on a desired result alone is for happiness is samsaras. Swamiji says, give up this, gives a very important explanation. Success in life is nothing but preparation for failure. A man who is well prepared for failure is a successful person. And if not prepared for failures, then that will only lead to anger and frustration. Jnani does not relate himself with success or failure. These have nothing to do with your self-worth. This is important lesson for life, success and happiness. Gnani has identified with Atma, which is Akarta and Abhokta. The next Sri Krishna says, Naiva kinchit karoti sa. So he is free from all action. From philosophical point of view, he is free because action or its results do not affect him, as he has identified himself with higher self or Atman. From a psychological or practical sense, he is free as there is no anxiety or stress related with regards to the results. So, in summary, in this important verse, Sri Krishna is elaborating on action in inaction and states two important principles of Nitya Truptaha and Nirashraya, achieved by giving up attachment to the fruits of action. Hari Om.
Thank you, Dr. Vikram, for a nice and a clear explanation. As you can see, I have highlighted every word of this. What it really means is Kabir, in one of his dohas, had said, if you want to achieve something, you have to pretend like you have already achieved. In modern terms, you can call it fake it before you make it. Now, how do we practice it in our daily life? Imagine you are a jnani and do all your actions as if you are a jnani. Now, for that, we should not have any sense of attachment. What is attachment? Attachment means without that person, without that object, without that situation, without this particular outcome of my action, I will not be happy. If I'm able to overcome that. Nirashraya, I have no sense of dependence on any of this. This is another important quality we need to work on. Next is Nitya Triptasya. Anchor onto your higher self, which is always Purna. And when you anchor to your higher self and do all that you do, you can be in the midst of all activity and suddenly you realize that so much is happening around you, but you still feel that you are not doing anything. The next week, we will have more verses, both talking about how a jnani does a karma, how a sannyasi does a karma, how does a grihastha does a karma. You have some of the most famous verses like Brahmarpanam, Brahmahavi, Gata Sangasya, Muktasya. That will be on the next class. We will conclude by chanting of these verses that we have studied today, and that will be by Meenakshi Shanmugam. Over to you, Meenakshi.
Thank you, sir. Namam karmani limpanti, name karma phale spruha, iti mam yobhijanati, karma bhirnas bhathyate. Evam jnatva kritam karma, purvairapi mumukshubhihi, kuru karmaiva tasmatvam, purvai purvataram kritam. Kim karma kima karmeti, kavayopyatra mohitaha, tatte karma pravakshyami, yajñātvā mokṣyase shubhāt. Karmano hyapi bodhavyam, bodhavyam cha vikarmanah, akarmanascha bodhavyam, gahana karmano gatihi. Karmanya karmaya pashyet, akarmani cha karmaya, sabhuddhiman manushyeshu, sayukta kritsna karma kritam. Yasya sarve samarambhaha, kama sankalpa varjitaha, jnanagnidagdha karmanam, tamahuh panditam buddhaha. Tyaktva karma phala sangam, nitya tripto nirashrayah, karmanyabhi pravrittopi, naiva kinchit karoti saha. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
So much to take away from today's class. I am different from whatever I experience. How not to get entangled in more karma and more punya and papa. Kritimahodadau patana karanam. We have to move to Ishwararpita Nechaya Kritam. We have heard it quite often. Yoga karmasu kaushalam. Dexterity is in action, is what it refers to, is to do the karma without the doership. Dr. Netra brought out the Jivatma Paramatma Aikyam in the 14th verse, and a very nice statement there, cut the ego with Sudarshana. In the 15th verse, we have heard Purva Karaihi. Sanatana is what it means. Krishna is talking of tradition here, of ancestors who desired pleasures of the world, and also those who yearned for moksha, who did karma. Follow your duty as per your swadharma, but with the right attitude. And why do it with such attitude? Yat jnatva mokshase ashubhat. And ashubha, Mr. Bhaskar told us, was anxiety, worry, or any overpowering emotion, or any doubts and dilemmas. Gahano karmano gatihi. The ways of karma are not easy to fathom. The 18th one, a very difficult verse, the Stuti Vakya, nothing to be done for a jnani, still everything is being done. And the catch that we have, inaction in action, action in inaction. The message is, instead of trying to find inner peace at the end of action, find it in the midst of any action. Kritsna karma krit. It is not the destination alone, but the path too, which is important. When one realizes Sarva Bhutatma Bhutatma, compassion becomes natural and Loka Sangraha is the result. Since Jnani knows he is only a facilitator and not a doer, there is no karma sanchaya, there is no karma sanchaya, duga bijavat, roasted seed, as we were told by Mamata, where avidya, kama, karma is also burnt, was mentioned. Dr. Vikram Kekatpure very well explained the two important traits of a jnani as per the 20th verse, nitya truptaha, ever satisfied, nirashrayaha, non-dependent. Happiness is in the process, not in the goal. And that is possible only when karma palasangam tyaktva, giving up the anxiety for results, is possible. Such practically applicable verses today. Thanks to all the speakers and to Srimati Meenakshi for a very nice class. As mentioned earlier, the details for sending Guru Dakshina is displayed here. Kindly do whatever is possible. Our next class is on Friday, the 30th, where we cover verses 21 to 30. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.